So now, this morning, because of the long reading from the Gospel, is not a morning really for a sermon or a long homily, so just a couple of points. And I just want to, when I was reading earlier this morning, I put myself in the part of Jesus in the reading of the Gospel, and I got a new insight into what I must have felt to be like Jesus. And I just want to ask you, but you don't have to answer out loud, did you find any place in the Gospel that you found particularly painful this morning? I'll tell you, what I found particularly painful was Peter and Jesus. I think the worst form of suffering is mental suffering rather than physical suffering. I think most of us, if we had a choice between physical suffering and mental suffering, well, I certainly would choose physical suffering or physical pain. Now, just for a moment, I put myself in the presence, in the part of Jesus. Here's Peter, in whom Jesus absolutely trusted. The same person who said to Jesus, I will go to prison for you. I will even die for you. But when he was put to the test, I do not know the man. I never saw him. I have had nothing to do with him. Just for a moment think how Jesus must have felt. And that look of Jesus at Peter. Just looked at him. Must have said, Peter, Peter, how could you? Now, many of you, well, I don't know how many, but some of you sitting here this morning, I'm sure you have experienced that. You have experienced somebody that you really trusted and that said they would never let you down. It could even be your husband or your wife. And a day came and they betrayed you. Don't you think that Jesus understands that? Huh? And ought that to be a great comfort. Jesus was there before you. And Jesus understands. Nobody understands that pain better than Jesus. Now, what did Jesus do? What did he do? He brought himself around, which was magnanimous. And in some ways, we might say only Jesus could do it. And he forgave Peter totally. And that's the only way we can move on and get our life back on track. I really felt, for me, there was a core moment, a really significant moment in the reading of the Passion. I do not know him. That betrayal was worse in some ways than Judas. Judas sold him for a few pieces of silver. But Peter, the one he really, really trusted in, it was a total break of trust. And that's what has happened to all of us recently in the church. And to me, that's the bottom line of any kind of child abuse. It's a total break of trust. Total. And Jesus has been there. He has experienced that. So I want you to think about that too today. And as we begin now today, Holy Week, it is the most important week in the calendar of the church. And we begin on Tuesday night. We have a lovely reconciliation service. I helped at a reconciliation service recently, not mentioning where, and it began at 7 o'clock, and it was on the it was turning for 10 o'clock before it finished, which is not what we plan to do here. So I want you all to come. It's an important thing to do, and we begin at 7 o'clock, and you'll be going out of here on your way home at 8 o'clock, before 8, full of joy and full of peace. And if you're not, it's because you're so joyful, you want to share it with everyone else, and that's fine. But please do try and come, and maybe encourage those who haven't been for a long time to come. It'll be a beautiful evening. And then Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter Saturday, the 3 days are one. It's all the one ceremony, follows on one from the other. And do your best, do your absolute best to come. And then you'll really, really, really know, and you'll experience Easter, the joy of Easter. Just like Jesus, you got to go down before you can come up. There you are. So let's stand now and pray.